Joining us for the next 20 minutes or so is Larry Pratt, Executive Director of Gun Owners of America, gunowners.org. And if it wasn't for Larry Pratt and Gun Owners of America and the members, we would have already lost the Second Amendment. And if it wasn't for them, the NRA wouldn't have been kept honest. The NRA is better than they were 10 years ago. But Larry has been forced before to point out they were founded by the federal government after the Civil War and actually supported the '68 Gun Control Act. But keeping our gun lobbies honest, never had to do that with Gun Owners of America, perfect record. Keeping the other groups honest is key. Key to not let Benedict Arnold's sneak in. We've had some big victories in Illinois. They can still sneak it back in today, but it is a big victory. They had the votes 2 days ago, but gun owners physically went there to their offices and called by the tens of thousands, as local Chicago and other newspapers report. Those stories are all up at Infowars.com. But here's some of the news. Connecticut town to burn violent video games. That's a little too much like book burning, but how about you just don't let your kids play them? Lawmaker proposes publicizing gun owners' names. That's trying to terrorize us. That's the kind of stuff Hitler did. Illinois Dems pull measure to ban weapons. Not enough votes. Marine warns Feinstein, I will not be disarmed. I've said publicly, I'm just not turning them in. Not registering. It's my line in the sand. Done. Homeland Security buys another 200,000 hollow point bullets on top of the $1.6 billion they've bought in the last 14 months. And that's now over 12 times any previous one-year purchase. And it just goes on and on. That's all up at drudgereport.com. We've got reports up at Infowars.com as well that I'll go over once Larry leaves us here at the end of the hour. But DHS buys 200,000 more rounds of ammunition, more people killed with hammers and clubs than rifles. This is all info weapons. It's all truth. Ram it down the enemy's throat. Put it out on Facebook, Twitter, email, local talk radio. Don't stop. We can use their attack to actually have a counteroffensive and may actually rout the gun grabbers to a great extent and shut the door on them. Won't be the first time in history a major offensive turns into a rout against an enemy. Democide, how many people will government kill this year? Has an incredible video we produced giving the history of government killing, 290+ million. I kept saying 260 million in the 20th century. Crass Obama photo op exploits Sandy Hook massacre, proven that it's staged photos dealing with the dead kids. Just incredibly evil, along with this fake crying. Government democide and disarmament, the greatest threats to... just a bunch of key videos, articles up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. But Larry Pratt joins us here today to talk about a host of issues. First off, I want to get into Dianne Feinstein and her bill, where she actually says forced buyback or forced registration. What's happening there? How much trouble we're in? But then Chicago and Illinois being their model, going for almost a total ban there. How big a deal is it that we've shot that down for now? Larry Pratt, Executive Director, Gun Owners of America.
It's good to be with you.
Good to be with you, sir.
Well, they're going to try, and what I have to say is I wish there were guys on our side that would be as tenacious in the face of tough fights and willing to just keep the battle going, even if there isn't that much chance of success at the moment. And that's the way I see Feinstein. She probably can't get something out of the Senate, let alone the House, but that doesn't keep her from stopping, because she wants to, she understands that if you don't keep the debate going, you're not going to be able to eventually change the terms of the debate. And that's one reason why our answer to the massacre in Newtown was not just an armed guard, which frankly we think would be, well, I guess it's better than nothing, but it's very expensive, and it means that there would be an identifiable person that would presumably be the one person with a gun at a school. And if somebody wants to commit mass murder, begin with the armed guard that's identified as the armed guard, carrying the gun presumably right out there on the hip, like armed guards almost always do. And once he's down or she's down, then it's Katie bar the door on the rest of them. And once again, you're forced to wait for some 20 minutes until the police are able to get there. Now, the better solution would be to encourage everybody on staff at these schools, no matter whether they're teachers or administrators or support like janitors, whatever it might be, and any parent that might be visiting, got to, if you're qualified for concealed carry, you all come, and you're welcome to come with your gun. Right now, that's illegal. That is so stuck on stupid.
Because a mass shooter is going to break the law. They're ready to kill kids. All you do is keep the law-abiding citizens out. Well, what about Harold ISD that in 2007 used the state law to arm more than 10 teachers? That way somebody's always there, multiple people, and on the 1 in a billion chance a teacher went crazy, there'd be other teachers. A crazy teacher could already sneak a gun in. It's kind of like not arming the pilots. You trust them with a 100-ton weapon that, that's thousands of times more deadly than a gun, but you don't trust them with a gun when these are about the most proficient people with machinery and equipment and tools out there.
And in a situation where you've got a mass murder underway, to complain that the teacher may not be professionally trained, excuse me, even when the shooter was all these mass shootings are done at very close range. And so self-defense is not something that requires Annie Oakley. It simply requires that a good guy has a gun.
Well, I mean, the so-called left always implies that women can't shoot, which is incredibly sexist. In shooting competition, women are as good or now statistically in the Olympics better than men.
Hey, listen, I hate to admit it, but they pay attention better than most of us men, and they learn better. It's not something that we can disregard. And the fact is, look at what that one brave woman did. I guess she was a teacher, Victoria Soto. She had the presence of mind to hide away the kids, and then she was out running where she became a target. Why not have her have a gun, for goodness sake?
Oh, imagine what she would have done.
Got the presence of mind to use it.
Well, here's the issue. They know that the gun culture was the bedrock of the Republic, along with the First Amendment, free speech, and that it was growing and becoming very popular, so they're striking back now. But expanding on that, they know when there's another mass shooting, and the way they're advertising it, there will undoubtedly, unfortunately, be some copycats. So we're in a race to get the teachers armed now. But they know when there's the next shooting that if they can just get them registered now, like she wants, then she'll be able to physically get them like her and Cuomo are trying and like they've tried in Illinois. What's your breakdown on that, Larry?
Well, that's why I think it's really important that our side not be simply playing defense. I mean, there are times when that's all you can't do anything. But even now, we can be talking about the 20 years of insanity that have led to the same result, and we keep expecting a different result every time. We create a gun-free zone, and how could that person go in and shoot all those people? Well, hello, we put up a sign that said free firing zone here. Come on over. I mean, they're like magnets for the scum. These people are evil. They're not stupid. And yet, by contrast, look what happened. And maybe some of, although your listeners are better informed than almost anybody, but still, there wasn't very much attention given to what happened at the Clackamas Mall outside of Portland 3 days before Newtown. There, a guy had brought a gun into the mall, which was posted no guns, which they can do under state law even if you had a concealed carry. And he killed 2 people, wounded another. Hearing that, a good guy with a gun, I'll presume that he didn't see the posting of no guns, ran to the sound of the shots, which in itself is quite remarkable. It was seen by the shooter as the shooter was unjamming his gun. So instead of getting to kill any more people, nobody having rushed him during the time he was fiddling with his gun, he then committed suicide because he saw the good guy with the gun. And my guess is that we're not going to have any prosecutions of the good guy because that wouldn't look too good on the prosecutor's resume.
Larry, we have the UN treaty coming up in March that they want to ram through the Senate. And in it, and in the original State Department Memorandum 7277, it states that once they've disarmed the people, then they're going to disarm our military and only allow there to be brigades and units assigned to the UN and NATO. We already now have the spectacle last year in 2012 of 3 different congressional hearings where the committees were told that NATO and the UN was commanding Obama to launch these wars and that Congress was not involved in war making or military operations now. I mean, just over the top unconstitutional, treason. And this is about guns. You know, Feinstein in a speech last week said, well, in a letter she put out, she said, well, this is embarrassing worldwide that we own guns. And even the New York Times, you know, has said, oh, foreign governments don't like us owning guns. We need to get rid of them. It's embarrassing. But here's USA Today. Their columnist in the article reports, for all the complaints about the leftward tilted American journalism, it's nothing compared to news operations around the globe. Piers Morgan points to a bigger issue, and it says, why is Russian TV broadcast here in the U.S. transmitted? Arab news, Al Jazeera, you name it, BBC, Piers Morgan. Why are the Chinese government, why are they calling for our guns, and why does our media give this attention and act like it's legitimate? I mean, I'm now being criticized by Russian TV because I'm pro-gun. I mean, no one would ever put up with this, but this really is this globalization, and I think that if we get the word out to gun owners through GOA and others, and I'm putting an article out with Watson today pointing out that foreign governments and media are telling Americans what to do, I think this could really backfire on them if we push this information because it's just outrageous. Your take on that?
It's very outrageous. Almost immediately after Newtown, the Chinese perhaps were the first ones in the chorus to start singing this anti-American, anti-Second Amendment song, calling for, you know, there's too many guns in the United States, blah, blah. Well, of course there would be too many guns from their point of view because we would use our guns to shoot the very people like them who would ever attempt any kind of government like the communist dictatorship in China being imposed here in the United States.
Yes.
It makes them nervous to think that there's any place in the world where the people are trusted with guns.
Yeah, they're tyrants. They're tyrants. I mean, the communist Chinese official People's Daily and their TV came out and said, Obama, we support you, quote, wage a war on the Second Amendment. Foreign governments saying wage war on us, and Obama's doing it.
Yeah, not that he really needed any encouragement, but I guess they can't resist it. They are so offended. I mean, there are lots of things that I'm offended about: communist China, thugocracy Russia, on down the list. Suicide
nets, forced abortions, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't expect my government to be making a big deal about it unless, well, maybe if we stopped trading with them and started treating them the way they should be, we could be the kind of thing to talk about so we'd have in mind what kind of people they are. But you know, I don't tell the Chinese what kind of food to eat, and I don't expect them to tell me anything about freedom because they obviously don't understand or care to know anything about freedom. It's certainly not their government that was issuing this offensive.
Well, that's a good point. Just 20 years ago, our government would criticize China for its criminal activity. Now they won't do it because our government is adopting their policies.
Exactly.
Well, Larry, I mean, even USA Today, Piers Morgan points to a bigger issue. They point out that it is our own media piling up with foreign governments and foreigners who are flooding the social media, lobbying to take our guns. This is really... it'd be sedition if they were citizens. This is subversion, but we're so accustomed to it, we don't even call it that. I call it subversion to have Russian and Chinese media published in this country saying, take my rights. That is outrageous.
And I guess the silence that is kind of deafening is the silence of our government not telling the Chinese that we really don't need their comments about a free society since they obviously don't understand freedom. That's about as polite.
No, our media says we've got to do it because they say so. It's incredible. Dianne Feinstein says that. What do you expect them to try to do, not just with her bill, but others? What's the time frame? Obama said yesterday his priority is open borders and gutting the Second Amendment. What's your battle plan?
Well, there's a bunch of anti-Second Amendment bills in. I don't expect them to be successfully pursued either in the Senate or the House. What we have seen is that yesterday and now today, two bills pretty much the same have been filed to do away with gun-free school zones. And I think that's terrific. Congressman Stockman was the first one in, and he has taken the offensive. He's not talking about, oh, you shouldn't be taking our semi-automatics. Well, yeah, of course they shouldn't. We know that. But what we should be doing is working to get rid of the invitation that's posted around every school for mass murder. No guns beyond this point. This is a gun-free zone. Hey, sure it is. That's just insanity, and that's defined as repeating the same thing and expecting a different result each time. And if they want to believe something like that, that's fine. But as for the rest of us, we've got to say, no, we're not playing by those rules.
I agree. We've got to get on the offense and point out that it's the government and the liberals, the tyrants, because they're not really liberals, creating the gun-free zones and advertising it, that is absolutely responsible for this.
And then they want to blame us gun owners after they created the zone that was the shooting fish in the barrel zone.
For those that don't know, more than 10 bills have now been introduced in Congress. How many do you expect to be introduced before this session is up?
Oh, it'll be a lot. But I think there's going to be some even more coming from the good guys. And those have a chance because even as Senator Coburn put a measure on a spending bill, it was a credit card bill, actually, horrible bill, but he knew it was going to pass because the president really wanted it. And he was able to get the long-time ban on guns in national parks done away with. He took a House measure, put it on an amendment to a spending measure, finance measure, and off it went. The president signed it.
No, you're right. Instead of defending against him, we do that 50%. The other 50, offense, to get them off balance. I'm going to talk about more ways to get on the offense in our final segment with Larry Pratt, Executive Director of Gun Owners of America. Get over there and join it today and get their free alerts.
As we saw in Katrina, and as we are watching now in New York and New Jersey, the federal government can't and won't help you in a crisis. FEMA ran out of water and MREs in days. Electricity is still off to over 1 million people. The Red Cross, who is quick to beg for money, is now slow to react. Don't put it off any longer. Get prepared today. While you're on InfoWarsShop.com, check out these other great preparedness items. The Aquapod kit lets you store up to 65 gallons of water in your bathtub. The Pocket Socket provides you with manual electricity for small electronics like your cell phone. The Life Straw is great for your bug-out bag. And check out our complete line of Interfood products for great tasting and nutritionally dense foods that have a great shelf life. If you are looking to secure your home in a crisis, you can order Strategic Relocations, the film, a great companion to the book Strategic Relocations 3rd edition, and The Secure Home by Joel Skousen. When the time to perform arrives, the time to prepare has already passed. Get prepared now, so if a crisis strikes your home, you and your family will be secure. Go to InfoWarsShop.com.
Don't forget, we are not funded by the Russian government like RT is, calling for the end of the Second Amendment. We're not funded by the blood of the Chinese people like their Politburo has with their media outlets calling for the end of our Second Amendment. We're funded by you. So support our sponsors at Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, get PrisonPlanet.tv, nightly news memberships, 10 memberships for $5.95 a month. Buy the books, the videos, buy the InfoWars magazine in bulk and get it out to people, all of it at Infowars.com, and spread the word. We're growing, but we're getting more and more opposition because we're having an effect. Now, Gun Owners of America Chairman Larry Pratt is with us. It's also important to join gun owners, or at least sign up for the free email alerts up to the minute on the gun grabs. You can defend the Republic. We're having victories like in Illinois yesterday. Moving fast. Why not get on the offense too, sir, with bringing up Fast and Furious? Hey, Obama, why don't you cry for all the dead Mexican kids you killed shipping guns into Mexico?
Yeah, the idea that guns need to be banned in the United States, such as Dianne Feinstein and other members of Congress are proposing, and not a word about having armed the Mexican cartel thanks to a United States government program, Fast and Furious. These people they understand staying on offense. You catch them red-handed, and all they tell you is, so do you believe me? Are you lying eyes?
Oh, I mean, the incredible amount of lying. What has it done, though, where they denied they wanted our guns all these years when we had their own publications saying they want total abolition, that now they're out in the open? I see this, if we seize the moment, totally blowing up in their face and reversing everything they've done.
I think so, too. I've had that sense that maybe my good friend Piers Morgan, I maybe haven't told you, but I'm thinking of setting up a fan club, and I'll be the head of it. He brought us more new members than we've had in a long time at one time, and I think that so has outraged people, and frankly, I think it showed some. When I've talked to other conservative groups in Washington, it really encouraged them to realize that, we don't have to just sit there and be sort of a captive tied to a chair and take our beating.
Exactly. These fake liberals aren't liberals. They're authoritarians. Call them authoritarians. And don't let them sit in the position of authority, in fake moral authority, and always put us on the defense and tell us we're child killers when they're the child killers. I mean, if we're child killers, they're 10 times the child killer.
Yeah, well, first of all, we don't support abortion, most of us.
Exactly.
So, there's a big exemption right there. And a lot of children get killed in the genocides of dictatorial governments all around the world. And the pattern was very clear. The guns and other weapons were collected first before the real killing got started.
We've got an article up at Infowars.com that is a special video we did, Larry, exposing democide, governments killing 290+ million people in the last century after gun control. And it's got all the proof and all the facts. Very important to get that out to people. In closing, in the 1 minute we have left, anything else you want to warn people about? During the break you said executive orders. He may still do that, though.
That is a real problem. He could simply say, you can't buy a handgun over a certain caliber and on up, and you can't buy a long gun if it takes a detachable magazine. That would be illegal. It would be unconstitutional, but that doesn't seem to be a problem for this president. And we'd eventually beat him in court, but the dealers would have no choice but to comply, because if he pulls their license, they're out of business that second. And
that's
so,
right.
That's quite a barrel to have us over.
I just thought of something. We need a gun owners, a gun shop union, so that they can stand up to the ATF, because you know how brutal they are to nice mom and pops, you name it. I mean, they really are gangsters, because I've experienced them repeatedly. And people, I've never been around feds that act like people out of Goodfellas. Let me tell you, the ATF's a joke. Larry Pratt, thank you so much. Gun Owners of America.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you again soon. Have a great weekend.
You too, my friend.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.